Our scripture today is titled, "The Adi Buddha Creates the Mandala of the Five Dhyani Buddhas," and is derived from the mystical teachings of Vajrayana Buddhism. Tibetans attribute the origin of the Dhyani Buddhas to the primordial and highest being, the Adi Buddha, who created the Dhyani Buddhas by his meditative powers. Adi Buddha is also known as Vajradhara or Samantabhadra. The Blessed Adi Buddha is the self-existent, unoriginated source of universal mind, that before which was nothing, anything that was made, that before which was not anything that was made. Our reading begins. Then the Lord Adi Buddha discoursed with the Bodhisattva Vajrapani upon the five skandhas, saying, like an infernal black sun nailed to the dark fabric of space, the evil one, Mara's demons, the malignant five, hurl forth their accursed aggregations, their five deadly poisons that represent the ultimate danger to man's spiritual progress, keeping him tied to worldly existence. Then the Bodhisattva questions the Blessed One, is there no hope of release from these vile impediments? Whereupon the Blessed Adi Buddha, Vajradhara, replies, five evils spawned from the black heart of the evil one Mara are renounced only through the white wisdom of light of countless Tathagatas. The power of the nefarious five is turned about only through the power of the sacrosanct five Dhyani Buddhas. Thereupon the Lord began rotating the space about him with his humongous finger, thus forming a whirling durish, the spherical outline of a majestic mandala. Within this miraculous creation, the distinct shapes of the five Dhyani Buddhas steadily began to take shape. From its eastern quadrant emerged the royal blue shape of Akshobhya Buddha, his right hand firmly touching the earth in a movable gesture fashion, while his left hand holds the sacred Vajra hovering about his palm. Akshobhya reveals the wisdom of the great mirror, a calm-like quality resembling the placid surface of a vast blue ocean. This is the cool and unattached objective gaze of the Dharmakaya, where even the darkest corners of the Layana Vijnana, the electronic belt, are transmuted into the Dharmakaya's clear light. Thus the skandha, the deadly poison of consciousness, anger and aggression, takes a back seat as all is dissolved away in the light blue effervescence of the pure, unadulterated emptiness of absolute knowledge. Buddharatnasambhava rises from the southern quadrant of the mandala like a warm and vibrant yellow sun, whose welcoming beams of light extend outward from his upturned right hand and palm. Thus, his sacred gesture reveals the wisdom of equanimity. His blessed gaze equates everything with the suchness of the Dharmadhatu, the realm of absolute reality. In so doing, the demon skandha of feeling and pride melts away and is transmuted into the transcendent satisfaction of the one and unborn. Pure gold, wherein the innate core of authentic selfhood celebrates the real, through the real, and nowhere else. The great distinguishing wisdom of the rose-colored Amitabha Buddha arises from the western quadrant, depicting the spiritual certitude of the inner vision of a blessed Tathagata. With his folding hand gestures in meditative style, the skandhic demon of perception and inordinate desire is thus lulled to sleep as the centric and eternal qualities of the Sugata rise like a lotus flower, ascending from the skandha's ignominious and murky depths. Heralding from the northern quadrant of the transformational manda of the five Tathagatas is the emerald green Amoga Siddhi Buddha. His striking Abhaya Mudra, the raised hand, stops any advancing volitional demons dead in their tracks. He is the Lord of karma and has the power through the wisdom that accomplishes all works to reunite polar opposites as exhibited through his double Vajra. All former evolutional activities are thus rendered karmic free. Directly within the mandala's center rests the white-colored Vairoshana Buddha. All skandic forms are rendered ineffectual since he is the actualized embodiment of the Dharma Dhatu's element of truth, as represented through his sacred Dharma Chakra Mudra, denoting the law and the teaching of the Buddha. Vairoshana's position is the very hub, the very center of the five Tathagatas, and fully embodies the wisdom of the universal law. His wisdom is considered to be the origin of, or the total of all the wisdoms of the Dhyani Buddhas. So ends our reading. May the blessing of the blessed Adi Buddha be upon us as this word penetrates our heart, our head, our hand, our mind, and our hearts. Today we journey through the mandala of the five Dhyani Buddhas, working alongside with them in their mastery of the secret rays for our own development of these qualities within ourselves. The five secret rays are light emanations from God that originate in the white fire core of being. These are the fiery energies that surround the Holy of Holies. They are the spheres of the causal body that are closest to the I am that I am, your mighty I am presence. And it is in entering into these secret rays that provides you with a tremendous aid in achieving balance at all levels. They pierce through impure, misqualified substance, cut the Gordian knots of consciousness, repolarize the behavioral patterns, and replace misconceptions with right conceptions. The secret rays neutralize sharpness, bluntness, all states of consciousness that obscure the Buddha nature. Meditating on the secret rays gives us a heightened sensitivity to life. Our outer awareness becomes more self-effacing, and our inner awareness becomes more powerful. The mighty cosmos, who ensouls these secret rays, explains, the secret rays are a haven for the blessed. They promote an action of detail, the fine sculpting of the mind and consciousness in the perfect image of the Christ. The secret rays are like the refiner's fire. They purge, they purify. When man has said of himself, my work is finished, I have sent forth the secret rays to show him that the detail was not finished. For in the conclusion of the spiral, the law requires perfection. Know then that I, Cosmos, am stimulating your four lower bodies that you might rise in consciousness and use the five secret rays to challenge the adversaries of the five Dhyani Buddhas. These adversaries that Mighty Cosmos refers to are the five deadly poisons, as we've talked about, the ultimate danger to your spiritual progress. It is these poisons that poison the mind, poison every organ of the body, poison the desires, the thoughts, and the feelings. And since the five secret rays are very close to the nucleus of self, the poisons penetrate the sheaths, and they begin to eat away at the core identity of the individual, the core identity of the individual that is left, which may be indeed shrinking by an astral cancer that is produced by the five poisons. These deadly poisons are counteracted by the jeweled wisdoms that each Dhyani Buddha embodies. In fact, each wisdom is able to transmute its respective poison into a transcendent wisdom. Each Dhyani Buddha at the heart of their being embodies a secret ray. Think then of the five secret rays as the mighty fruits of wisdom, a color of golden wisdom for each of the five Dhyani Buddhas. And we can work with these Buddhas on a regular basis, and then they will do all they can for us to accelerate the action of Mighty Cosmos' secret rays within us. It is important to note that the full knowledge, colors, and use of the secret rays has not been released by the solar lords. Therefore, each one of us needs to discover on our own the qualities, gradations and tones of consciousness of these inner secret ray qualities that these Dhyani Buddhas embody. This can be done, as we will do today, as you place yourself in correspondence with the particular order of reality that each of these Buddhas personifies. Through assuming their mudra, chanting their mantra, and engaging in meditation on their many known outer qualities, symbols, and colors, we can come to know the qualities of the inner secret rays. You can also concentrate on the detail with which the great Tibetan spiritual artists have portrayed these Buddhas and placed them on their tankas for this very purpose. To the Tibetan, creating a work of art is a sacred religious act. The result is that their artwork connects you to the otherworldliness and perfection of enlightened realms that inspires you as the observer to realize your own divine potential. Meditation on the 5 Dhyani Buddhas is largely a mystical path, a voyage in the mind to meet wisdom and perceive the true nature of reality. And today I ask you to mimic the actions of the Tibetan Buddhist who, like Alice in Wonderland, steps through the picture plane and through active participation becomes one with the mandala of the Dhyani Buddhas. The whole mandala is a multidimensional and interactive roadmap to higher consciousness and self-transformation. It is a profusion of fascinating beauty, rich in symbolism, a magical place where these Buddhas reflect back to you how the components of your consciousness can be transformed into wisdom, transformed into the inconceivable nature of the enlightened mind, the awakened state when the true nature is uncovered from within. This understanding cannot be expressed or comprehended by words or concepts. It can only be experienced as you are infused with the transcendental power of their secret rays. And as you become their mandala, become the Buddha nature, you will discover an amazing alchemy, one that is almost indescribable, when all the fire of your being enfolds itself into that supreme white fire core of self. Then you know the strength, the Vajra, the indestructible nature of the Buddha's wisdom, and the victory of knowledge over illusion. We are now going to chant Padmasambhava's mantra as we ask him silently in our hearts to be our guide, our protector, our guru on this magical journey through the 5 secret ray kingdoms of these great Buddhas. Please chant with me now the golden mantra, Om Hum Vajra Guru Padme Siddhi Hum, together. Om Hum Vajra Guru Padme Siddhi Hum. 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 We are now going to call to Padmasambhava. O great Vajra Guru Padmasambhava, overshadow each one assembled here and on the broadcast. Fill us with your presence. Take us into the lotus of your heart for our soul's victory and completion of its journey through the veils of Maya and Samsara. By the power of the Vajra Sattva, the reality that is the diamond thunderbolt, let it be so. Vajra, Vajra, Vajra. Amen. Please sit in a comfortable position. Close your eyes and center in your heart. Focus on your soul, the shining sphere of your essence, located in the seat of the soul chakra, just below the navel. see before you now a shining, golden Buddha, shining as though illumined by the dazzling rays of the sun. It is the fierce Guru, Buddha Padma Sambhava. He is seated in full lotus posture, levitating above the ground. He is smiling his smile of great compassion, and he is looking down upon you with tender love. Gracious ones on the Buddhic path, gracious ones externalizing the Christic light, know then the gentleness of God within you and be at peace. I am your humble servant Padmasambhava, Guru Rinpoche, and it is my privilege today to be your guide and your escort on a wondrous and magical journey through the Pure Land paradises of the Dhyani Buddhas. We will enter together into certain precepts, recepts of being, compartments of consciousness, as we journey through the veils of the 5 secret rays and commune with the great wisdom Buddhas that ensoul them. Take my hand, beloved, come into the lotus of my heart, and we shall pass through to the other side. As you reach the other side, you're amazed at the beauty within. Directly in front of you is the mandala of the Dhyani Buddhas, in the form of a celestial palace made of glimmering golden material. As you stand outside the palace walls, you see a multitude of propitious and victorious symbols that commemorate the gifts Gautama Buddha received after he attained enlightenment. The palace design is of a multi-level square architecture with seemingly smaller palaces at each of the 4 cardinal points. These heavenly abodes lead to a level of the etheric octave that contains the paradise of one of these wisdom Buddhas. Padmasambhava raises his hand, holding aloft his flaming sword of wisdom. And instantly a cosmic portal opens to the eastern realm directly in front of you. Padmasambhava signals to you to pass through the east gate of the celestial palace, the 6 o'clock position of the mandala. This etheric realm is known as the Abharati Pure Land, the paradise of exceedingly great delight. It is inhabited by the Buddha family of Vajra, those of crystal clear seeing. This is the Buddha land of the rising sun at dawn. You are immediately struck by its dark, deep blue hue that permeates everywhere. You now know the panoramic view of the Indian dawn sky on a crystal clear, extremely cold Tibetan winter morn, though you are not affected by its freezing temperature. This is the etheric realm of the water element, and standing in this holy space, the atmosphere around you is like you are standing submerged in a vast, deep blue ocean that sparkles with a luminous fluidity and a mirror-like gleam. This landscape around you is exquisitely beautiful, replete with jasmine-scented trees, an incredible variety of exotic flora, and many sparkling blue sapphire-colored streams with banks of gold strewn with diamond sand of many colors. The undulating water flows among the flowers and meanders between the trees, and as the water ripples, it produces exquisite sounds which proclaim the 4 noble truths of the great sage Siddhartha. There are birds with the colors of 100 jewels. Their songs are melodious and elegant, constantly praising the virtue of mindfulness of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. With the flash of a lightning bolt, Akshobhya and his female Buddha consort, Lokana, surrounded by thousands of bodhisattvas of the Vajra thunderbolt family, materialize in front of you. Akshobhya's body is a very deep, dark blue, with flowing robes the color of an otherworldly silver blue silk. As you gaze into his garments, you see with unimpeded clarity the nature of all things, as if they were reflected in a great cosmic mirror. His aura radiates a vibration that is so rooted in the transcendental that he is totally unshakable. He stands in front of you completely imperturbable and immutable, utterly solid and confident. He is seated upon his multicolored jeweled throne, which is raised up by two massive white elephants. They symbolize strength, steadfastness, tranquility, and power, destroying all the obstacles that block their path. And when these elephants plant their foot upon the earth with unshakable certainty, they hold that place, not even giving 1 inch to Mara, the evil one. Akshobhya's right hand is firmly touching the earth in the mudra that bears witness to his attainment of enlightenment. This gesture radiates confidence, deep-rootedness, and banishes the forces of the night. His left hand, cupped in his lap, holds the sacred Vajra, the diamond thunderbolt. The Vajra is the hardest of all things. It can cut everything, but nothing cuts it. It denotes enlightenment, the indestructible, unbreakable nature of pure consciousness, the essence of reality. Padmasambhava requests you bow before this great Buddha, and you do so. Akshobhya raises his left hand, holding the Vajra thunderbolt. He looks down at you and smiles. And when he does, imperturbable mirror-like wisdom and its associated secret ray radiate across the land, reflecting objectivity and truth. You behold the self in this mirror of truth as it does reveal cause and effect of all conditions in your world. Be willing to look in Akshobhya's aura of mirror-like wisdom as he reflects to you undistorted, your own state of consciousness. You begin to become aware of something very interesting, something very magical. The space surrounding you reflects all phenomena very accurately. So when you exude peace, the watery atmosphere around you is calm and clear. On the other hand, as any negative thoughts or emotions percolate through you, instantaneously these obscurations are reflected and amplified in the fluid atmosphere around you as fetid, cloudy, and turbulent thought forms of various shapes, colors, and misqualified formations. Turn over now and silently surrender to Akshobhya, the poison of aversion, occupying your consciousness, all illusion, all hate and hate creation, all aggression and anger, anger against others, anger against God, anger against yourself. You witness visually the vibrations of aversion and all Martian energies, gray, blue, blue-black, and pure black in color just flow downstream, as it were, and dissolve in the pure emptiness of mirror-like wisdom. And then the surrounding atmosphere returns to its clear nature, as if there was never a disturbance there. And instantly, without explanation or teaching, you suddenly, completely understand the wisdom of the great mirror, the knowledge of what is real and what is illusion, or a mere reflection of actual reality. You experience that aspect of the enlightened mind that is aware of all things with calm objectivity, revealing their true nature. And you now experience your mind conforming to the mind of God. Enter then into thy God. Become that God. And with a sign of the earth-touching mudra, banish the forces of the night, who only have the power that you give them. And as you gain the courage to challenge unreality, you will know akshobhya as an element of self, and you will become real. Om akshobhya hum. Padmasambhava signals it is time to move on. He again raises his hand and his shining sword of wisdom. And as you are transported in a clockwise direction around the celestial palace, arriving at its zenith, the 9 o'clock position of the mandala, this is the southern pure land of Srimat, the paradise of inexhaustible treasures and spiritual riches. It is inhabited by the Buddha family of Ratna, the jeweled ones. You are first struck by its brilliant golden yellow hue that permeates everywhere. The temperature is temperate, like the summer sunshine and warmth. There are no shadows. Everything is emblazoned with the same homogeneous light. The blazing sun overhead radiates forth into every inch of this paradise, blazing forth with scintillating golden, yellow, needle-like rays that can only be likened unto crystal fire. Fire crystallized as pins, pins so tiny they cannot even be measured. You now know the panoramic view of the Indian sky at high noon with the sun at its zenith. Except the brilliance of the sun here is 10,000 times more luminous than in the physical. This is the Buddha field of the golden earth element. It manifests as the ripeness of summertime. You find yourself drenched in warm sunshine, beauty, abundance, grain ripening in the harvest. There are flowering plants, bounteous crops, and all kinds of lovely, golden, rich, and ripe things. The realm is flourishing with great energy. Magnificent birds like flying gems fill the sky. Their songs are melodious and elegant, constantly praising the virtue of mindfulness of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Golden trees completely fill the landscape. Their leaves are like celestial ornaments, bearing 1,000 colors and 100 patterns. Hanging down from their branches are exotic fruits, sparkling like crystal. The ambiance projects fullness and a cornucopia of abundance and generosity. It is the paradise of inexhaustible spiritual treasures, the wealth of the earth that is unending and free to whomever needs it. You are standing on our blessed Mother Earth, who gives without any expectation or favor in return. She welcomes everyone who lives on her and doesn't complain at what we do. She just patiently bears everything. You see what appears to be a blazing armada of chariots in the clear blue southern sky galloping towards you. Descending in front of you, blazing like a warm and vibrant yellow sun, is the Buddha Ratna Sambhava. Next to him is his female Buddha consort, Mamaki, and they are surrounded by innumerable bodhisattvas of the Ratna family. Ratnasambhava's lotus throne is borne aloft on the backs of 4 magnificent golden yellow horses, symbolic of energy and effort in the spiritual practice of Dharma and denoting impetus and liberation. You are energized by the power of their melodious neigh that awakens your sleepy mind. Ratnasambhava is engulfed in brilliant golden yellow flames that enfold his being and beckon you closer. He is wearing richly embroidered yellow robes, gold jewelry, and an elaborate crown upon his head. His dress imparts richness and wealth, the ability to manifest riches through the perfection of mind, but with no attachment to worldly possessions of excess. His right hand is resting on his knee, with his open hand facing outwards. Welcoming beams of light extend outwards from his upturned right palm and hand. This is the gesture of supreme giving. Giving is what makes the threefold flame flower of the heart grow and grow and grow. The more you give, the more the light does flow. His left hand cupped in his lap, holding the shining, wish-fulfilling jewel, Sintamani. This gem is rather like Aladdin's lamp, which bestows to you all you could wish for. However, the true Sintamani is the enlightened mind itself, which gives you, in the highest sense, everything. His gaze is like the sunshine, and under it there is no differentiation, no division based on class or race or sex or social position. His light shines equally on all. In the presence of his wisdom, you have the deep realization that everything originates from the one source. You experience all beings and the Buddha as having the same nature. Equal opportunity will from now on define all your decisions, all your choices. This is what is called the wisdom of equality or sameness, where you see all things with divine impartiality and recognize the divine equality of all beings. This wisdom is the cure for ego, leveling all pride as you move towards equanimity. Padmasambhava requests you bow before this great Buddha and silently surrender the poison of pride occupying your consciousness. Turn over to Ratnasambhava all conceit of ego, all feelings of superiority or spiritual pride. Buddha Ratnasambhava smiles. And when he does, the wisdom of equality and its associated secret ray radiate across the land. He raises his left hand, holding his sparkling jewel of beauty and nature in the arts, in other people, in yourself. Assume his gesture of giving with hand wide open. And do not hold your hand closed too tightly, but open your hand and your heart and your head to give and give and give and continue to give. The more you give, the more the light does flow. In this radiation of Ratnasambhava, you feel yourself as an egoless being, not concerned about what others think of you, having no thoughts or opinions of others, but only the freedom to acknowledge the light, to bow to the Atman within, and to treasure a soul to whom God has given the vessel of body and mind. You are amazed as you feel the perverted vibrations that are centered in a separate self, apart from God, being cast off. Let go. Let go now of all of your ego-centeredness, all pride, arrogance, vanity, all view of yourself as being greater or lesser, or even equal to others. And as this negativity, as colors and patterns that are muddy yellow, orange, brown, and copper are released from your consciousness, you see them dissolving in the radiance of the sun of Ratnasambhava. This is where you dig up from the depths of the enlightened mind, the jewel of the bodhicitta, the jewel of the will to attain enlightenment. This urge, this aspiration to gain enlightenment, however, is not just for yourself, but for all sentient beings. So in the equality of the inner Buddha, welcome all and bow to the light within all and be the servant of that light. From this perspective, to live is to give. Om Ratnasambhava Tram. Padmasambhava signals it is time to move on. He again raises his hand, and you see his blazing sword. Padmasambhava transports us to the next level of the etheric octave. The 12 o'clock position on the mandala, the jeweled paradise of Sukhavati, the western pure land of ultimate bliss. It is inhabited by the Buddha family of Padma, the lotus-born ones. In this etheric land, you are struck by its very deep, dark, rich, red hue that permeates everywhere. This Buddha land of the setting sun symbolizes the withdrawal of external sense perceptions inwards into higher states of meditative concentration. The air around you is afire with ruby light. However, you are not blinded. You feel like you are standing gazing into the last seconds of a brilliant sunset where the sun is gentle and you can look directly into its fierce power without coming to any harm. The landscape around you is breathtaking beyond words. The ground is formed from various varieties of sparkling jewels. There are a variety of flowers and fruits and all sorts of jeweled trees ornate with glorious adornments. The tree branches are frequented by flocks of birds with the sweetest sounding voices. White jade ponds, sparkling like gems, dominate the landscape. Heavenly lotuses bloom profusely, completely covering the surface of the water, with blossoms as large as chariot wheels. They are incredibly fragrant, radiating rainbow colors in various marvelous and beautiful tints and tones of ruby red, pink, gold, and white. The banks of the ponds are covered with beds of jeweled sand, some ruby-colored and some purple and gold. This realm is more beautiful than any vision of heaven you have previously imagined. With a flash of fire, a ruby-red Buddha materializes directly in front of you. Next to him is his female Buddha consort, Pandaravasini, surrounded by thousands and thousands of bodhisattvas of the Padma lotus family. Amitabha is dressed in flowing silk robes, similar to the brilliant red color of the sunset. He is wearing a Tibetan headdress of peacock feathers, made from the immense plumes of the rare white peacock, bearing many eyes of wisdom that signify the faculty of discriminating seeing, associated with Amitabha's wisdom. Deep ruby and roseate flames dance in his aura. Amitabha is seated upon his lotus throne that is held up by his throne bearers, a flock of beautiful turquoise peacocks. They display their tail feather plumage, bearing also their many eyes of wisdom. Amitabha is seated, assuming the posture of his mudra, fingers barely touching and gently folded over the lap with palms facing upward. This is the gesture of meditation, of concentration on the good law, and of the attainment of spiritual perfection. In his lap rests a fragrant ruby lotus, the soft, open flower of love and compassion, symbolic of being untouched by darkness, as the lotus grows out of the muddy swamp but blooms completely pure, completely beautiful. Padmasambhava requests you bow to this great Buddha and silently surrender the poison of unquenchable desires occupying your consciousness. Buddha Amitabha raises his left hand, holding the lotus, and as he does, he releases all discriminating wisdom and its associated secret ray. you begin to notice something very interesting. When your aura and four lower bodies are expressing God desire, the fiery atmosphere around you is calm and clear. On the other hand, any thoughts or emotions related to grasping, wanting, lust, inordinate desire, or passion start to percolate through you. Instantaneously, these afflictions are reflected and amplified in the atmosphere as crimson, fuchsia, and scarlet-black thought forms of snakes and serpents. You are amazed as these passions are released around you. Several of the peacocks come forward to devour this misqualified substance. The peacock is capable of swallowing poisonous snakes without coming to harm, and is even touted to derive its rich plumage from the poison of the snakes on which it feeds. This symbolism of being open to even poison and transmuting it into beauty gives us a feeling of the purifying and transforming power of Amitabha. It signifies that even our darkest and most venomous aspects can be transformed by meditating on his image. Amitabha thus provides us with an infinite wisdom that helps us transmute the poison of inordinate desire into all discerning awareness. Now, in the light of Amitabha Buddha that you are self-realizing, that you are becoming, your heart opens in loving kindness, and you experience deep within your being the compassion of the Lord Amitabha that loves all beings for themselves, for their uniqueness. You now experience that segment of the enlightened mind that has the ability to discern all beings separately, yet knows every being as an individual expression of the One, that sees things at the same time as one, and at the same time as different, as diverse. One doesn't obstruct the other. The White Lotus Sutra expounds on this in the parable of the rain cloud, explaining that the rain of the Dharma falls equally on all beings, but all grow according to their own nature. Om Amitabha Hri. Padmasambhava signals it is time to move on. He again raises his hand. And you are transported in a clockwise direction around the celestial palace, stopping at the 3 o'clock position of the mandala. You immediately feel somewhat disoriented as you arrive at the mysterious dimension of opposites, the Pure Land, Prakruta, located somewhere immeasurably north of you and to your left. This is the realm of the sun at midnight, the paradise of the north, of midwinter, of the twilight zone of the mind. It is inhabited by the Buddha family of karma, those of action and practical achievement. Delightful scents waft through the nature-filled air, and as far as your eyes can see are incredibly lush green fields. And here you feel as free as the wind blowing through the forests and around the mountain heights of this northern realm. This is the Buddha field of the air element, and you experience its liberated energy as a wisdom of self-fulfilling activity, free of all hindrances, with a quality of movement and action. This is the realm of sound, whose energy and vibration move out in all directions. You witness the unpredictable dance of swirling rivers of brilliant greenish-blue light across the backdrop of the nighttime sky. This is similar to the bright northern lights of the aurora borealis that appear at the high altitude on a clear night in Tibet. With your inner sight, you now see the sky as a giant palette of the hand of the Buddha, the manifestations of God that come forth from the unformed, the undifferentiated suchness of being that is without attribute. Gazing at all this, your mind is filled with the universe, with the principle of the Tao, that is the continual movement within, a continual transformation of substance becoming and continually becoming. You hear the sound of the silence, the great soundless sound of creation, as it emanates from the plus and minus poles of the whirling Tai Chi. Feel yourself enter the nexus of the great cosmic interchange, where yin becomes yang and yang becomes yin, where there is the movement from the masculine to the feminine, from the feminine to the masculine and back again. A world where shadow and light, the visible and the invisible, self and other, and beginning and ending are separated out and simultaneously united. You are amazed that a place of such contrasts exists in the heavenly world. It is a place of the mystical intersection and cosmic equilibrium of all opposing dichotomies. You discover the law of reciprocity at the very heart of life's never-ending ritual of the creative and recreative process. You stand in complete stillness and in awe of its mystery and hidden beauty. Against the backdrop of the nighttime sky, you see flying toward you the outline of a green Buddha on the back of a very large bird-like creature called the Garuda. Amoghasiddhi descends in front of you, along with his feminine Buddha consort Tara, surrounded by uncountable bodhisattvas of the karma action family. He is seated on a lotus cushion of rainbow-colored petals atop his throne, held up by the Garuda, this mythical creature that is half man and half eagle. Garuda is symbolic of the soul in transition towards a new dimension of consciousness, the transition from the human to the superhuman state, which takes place in the mysterious darkness of the night, invisible to the eye. And in many ways, Amoghasiddhi is a mystery, perhaps the most mysterious and enigmatic of the 5 wisdom Buddhas. He represents the mysterious, almost the occult activity of the enlightened mind, emanating the very God virtues of fearlessness, power, action, and energy. This great Buddha only emerges from the midnight side of life when you are ready to meet him. Amoghasiddhi's aura is radiating a piercing emerald green and white starfire light. He is garbed in the monastic robe of the renunciant Shakyamuni, made from a patchwork of alternating light and dark pieces of soiled and discarded robes. This is symbolic of the true mark of a renunciant's humility and detachment. He assumes the gesture of supreme courage and protection with his right hand in front of his chest and palm facing outward, projecting fearlessness all around him. His left hand is in the meditative gesture, cupped in his lap, holding a crossed vajra, also called the double dorje, 2 dorjes placed one across the other. This signifies the union of the positive and negative poles of the cosmos, as well as of the human psyche. Padmasambhava requests you to bow before this great Buddha, and he gently reminds you that the spiritual life demands the courage of coming face to face with the shadowed or hidden parts of yourself. So if you desire, with Amoghasiddhi at your side, you can now look into the deep midnight sky of your psyche, your darkness from within, darkness you have created in ignorance. And as you stand in Amoghasiddhi's aura, please assume the Abhaya Mudra and receive his gift of fearlessness, giving you the courage to meet, embrace, and go after the pockets of darkness in your subconscious. The great green Buddha now raises his left hand, making the gesture of fearlessness and confidence as he extends the crossed diamond thunderbolt scepter, which shines like the sun at midnight, illuminating your hidden energies, drawing them out, and making the unconscious conscious. And as this light penetrates, it draws out your subconscious feelings of doubt, gloom and doom, insecurity, resentment, and envy, as well as all fears known and unknown. You now get a glimpse into the deep midnight sky of your psyche, recognizing in yourself the forces you bemoan in the outer world. Putrid forms of self-made giants, monsters, temptresses, etc., the shapes of your own ego, jealousy, greed, and fear, flashing their perverted colors of chartreuse, muddy olive, brown, and black. You feel caught between the polar opposites of good and evil, Christ and Antichrist, the presence and the absence of light, and ultimately life and death. On one side, you look up at the absolute God, our Father, Mother. And on the other side, down at the absolute misuse of the light, energy, and the consciousness of Alpha and Omega. And you can scarcely abide betwixt these opposites. So many voices clamoring for your attention. Realization of the true self in the sea of Maya. This is the challenge. Be willing to look at this, the cause and effect of conditions in your world. For seeing this allows you then to have the frame through which you will transmute this through your dynamic decrees, the violet all-transmuting flame, and Buddhist mantras. Simply chant Om Amoga Siddhi, Ah. Now in the midst of this darkness, you experience a powerful, creative energy and joy that flows from the wellspring of life within you as you begin to transform this darkness and human creation into a psyche, a soul that is fully integrated and whole. And as you find a point of light within you, your own being, a point of identity which declares, I am that I am. You recognize this as God in you. God in you is pronouncing the acclamation of being, your sacred name in God. And as you anchor and dwell in that light, it shines brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. It intensifies, it expands, enlightening and illuminating the darkness within you. And you now know with confidence and like magic that there will come that time when all that darkness will dissipate and your soul will take flight on its final journey, coming home to the center of the I am that I am, your great Dharma Kaya. Reality is the Vajra, the diamond of the heart. Simply chant Om Amoga Siddhi, Ah. Padmasambhava blesses you, saying, I, Padmasambhava, seal your heart in the intensity of mighty victory's flame. I seal you in the knowledge that you can conquer, self-transcend, and know God reality. In the name of the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, and the Divine Mother. Amen. The Blessed Guru signals it is time to move on. He again raises his flaming sword, saying in simplicity of a pure heart, as a child, now enter in and let go. Let go of all else but thine own reality. When you do this, you shall contain all reality of the spirit, matter, cosmos, and beyond. Fix your gaze upon the sun behind the sun, the inner sphere of being, and behold the great sphere of the mind of God. I now open the door for you to enter into the sun behind the sun. And as you stand at the north gate, a new cosmic portal opens to the center of the mandala. It is in reality a nexus into the higher octaves, the figure-8 flow twixt the spirit and matter cosmos. You now pass through the many spheres within spheres that make up the inner secret rays of your being to the center of the mandala, the center of being. The atmosphere is highly charged, an electronic vibratory action of vital, moving, ineffable light. You experience being surrounded by a cloud that pulsates, quivers with a mother of pearl luster, pastel, iridescent, and multicolored. A cloud of infinite energy that can only be likened unto crisp fire, fire crystallized as millions of focal points of light, so tiny they cannot even be measured. You stand awestruck, captivated by this, the inner dimension of the secret rays, the fiery energies that surround the holies of the I am that I am. You have reached the inner paradise of the great Buddha Vairoshana, the spiritual realm of the Dharma Kaya. You stand in absolute reality. And as you move through this Pure Land towards its center, you view a large, dazzling white lotus with thousands of fiery petals. And each petal of the lotus supports 100 million worlds. And in each world, a Sakyamuni Buddha appears, seated beneath a Bodhi tree. All these innumerable Buddhas have the great Tathagata Vairoshana as their original body. Center of the lotus, you see a dazzling sphere emanating an infinite number of translucent, iridescent, crystalline, needle-like rays like a sun. Your eyes adjust to the brilliance. You see the outline of a shining white Buddha in the center of the radiating sphere. It is the beauty of Vairoshana, known as the Sun Buddha, the great illuminator, who radiates love and wisdom that touches all sentient life. The entire universe is pervaded by reality, and his presence is manifested to all beings in all octaves. He is upon a very high throne, embedded with sparkling jewels, held up by two great white lions, symbols of courage, boldness, and an eager, advancing spirit. He is wearing ornate white robes. His hair is a deep cobalt blue fire. He is smiling and serene. Vairoshana is seated in full lotus posture, in the gesture of supreme wisdom, with his finger of his left hand wrapped around the index finger of his right. He is truly the all-illuminating great sun. And under his illumination, you experience that aspect of enlightenment as the ultimate wisdom of which all the others are merely aspects. You have a direct experience of reality and the cosmic being. You have a direct experience of reality and the cosmos being the same. The cosmos is reality. Reality is the cosmos. All of your delusion and ignorance, dullness and absence of awareness of the qualities of life is purged and transformed into the all-pervading wisdom of the Dharmakaya, the absolute Buddha nature. You feel the action of the secret rays sculpting, refining your mind and consciousness towards the perfect image of the Christ. And in this dimension of peace, of quietude, of oneness, you become a gentle one, a Buddha, an ascended master. And you do have that glimpse of how life appears from the ascended octave. And you know that only God and his invincible presence is real in you. You are in nirvana, experiencing that nothing outside of God's heart is real. And as you remain in this exalted state, we will hear now from the spokesman of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, Vajrasattva. Today's dictation was given in 1995 and is titled, The Empowerment of the Incarnation of God to Make Oneself the Fitting Habitation of God. May we be blessed by the word of Vajrasattva.
The incarnation of God, beloved, is indeed empowering when you have it, when you internalize it, when God is not only a seed of light within you or a profile of Ishvara, but in actuality a God that has expanded because you have pursued the God consciousness. Incarnation can be a spiritual incarnation. Sometimes it is said that one is an incarnation of beauty, an incarnation of absolute success, an incarnation of the gift of music. What do you incarnate? Whom do you incarnate? Begin to think about it now. What and who lives within you? If you can resolve this conundrum, you will come to understand that all lesser inhabitants, which may be voices of the night of the astral plane, demons, records that are negative, all these various elements that you may have allowed to occupy your temple as, quote, incarnations. So the goal is to call to the I Am Presence and the Holy Christ Self, as the messenger has taught you, to occupy the 4 lower bodies, to occupy the quadrants. For in so occupying, then those quadrants shall be filled with the light of the I Am Presence and the Holy Christ Self. Occupy till I come, saith the Lord. So you must call to higher levels of being to occupy lower levels of being, so that you do not walk the earth, and that which is above the belt is of God, and that which is below is the electronic belt of the records of karma with which you wrestle in your therapy sessions. So, I give you a moment to ponder, decide if you will, or even consider, and think about now, what would be, if you could will it so, the aspect of God who would incarnate in you? Whom would you invite to occupy your temple? For example, who of the many manifestations that you see out of India, out of Buddhism, Who and what? What vibration? What master? I dare say you will ponder this for many days, to be thoughtful, to consider. But I would make the point that since you seek empowerment to work the works of God in the earth, and that the incarnation of an aspect of God in you is key to that you would see to it that in the service you would render and the empowerment you would receive, that you have enthroned God in your temple and cast down all idols of the self. And as that incarnation is adored by you in the path of devotion, so in that path of devotion, you would come to experience increments of empowerment as that God manifestation in you would be secure in the level of your attainment, the level of your honor, the level of your sealing the harmony of being and saying, thus far, no farther, I shall follow the path of the imitation of my God within me. And there shall be no other gods before me, behind me, to my right, to my left, beneath, above, or in the internal folds of my being. Christ and Buddha have called you to occupy the temple. Until their coming, you must go first, clean out the Augean stables, make a place ready, scour the inner four lower bodies with violet flame. Put the circle and sword of blue flame and the ring pass not around yourself. The point here is to make oneself the fitting habitation of God. God living in you eventually calls you to his heart, bonds with you. So now you are not two but one. You in God and God in you move about the earth. Now you can understand a certain terminology of the ascended masters. I am a God-free being. I am a God manifestation. I am God who dwelleth in my temple. Now you can understand what it means to be a God-man. It means to be the full manifestation of God as male and female. These temples were once inhabited by your holy Christ self, with the exception that these were bodies of a higher vibration that sustained immortality. Thus you could walk the earth as immortals and as gods. Understand then the right use of that term, as gods. As God, apostrophe S, meaning as belonging to God. As gods in the plural. For when you are an extension of God and God is individualized and indwelling in you, then you partake of that God. And you are no longer a human, but a God-man. When you understand this properly, you will see it is not idolatry, but it is the logical succession of whence, how, and whither. Who am I? Why am I here? Surely not to be a mortal forever, but someday very soon to put on the garments once again that I lost of my immortality. I commend you then to contemplate the inner God, to remember the teaching of Christ. Do not look for the kingdom here and there, but look, for the kingdom of God dwelleth in you. The consciousness of God dwelleth in you. I desire that you should note the power of the diamond and the fiat Vajra. The greater the momentum of godliness within you, the greater the power of your spoken word to send forth the thunderbolt with the word Vajra. I am the Vajra Sattva. When you give that name Vajra, I also am a part of it. And once again you see the Eastern teaching that even the Vajra, the spoken word of the thunderbolt, is personified being as God. So I give you this thunderbolt, this Vajra, but I tell you the condition. Use it in love, use it in purity. Never, never use the powers of God to destroy your enemies, for you will immediately be stripped of all power should you do so. Never use the name of God or a fiat or a mantra when you are not in harmony, not centered in love and wisdom and the will of God. Be careful with the misuse of the spoken word, for you have more energy than you have ever had by the use of that word. Do not misqualify it. Do not become fanatical. Do not ever give fiats if you have not first controlled anger or other emotions. The use of the words such as Vajra is holy, profoundly holy, for you to use it, beloved. I am taking a calculated risk, a risk in so giving it to you. But I point out, as I have just said, its misuse will create an instantaneous loss of the gift permanently. Therefore be sparing, and when you are exalted in your mantras and prayers to God, and you are aloft in the music of the spheres, begin with a quiet Vajra. Begin it within the soul and in the heart, and whisper it, Vajra, Vajra. Test it. Hear the sound, feel the sound. Use it gently until you know when you are out of control or in control, and therefore able to use it. Since people become upset very quickly and often for no good reason, and emotions run high, I recommend that you use standard decrees to deal with those energies, and save your Vajra for those moments of bliss in God, whispering, then softly, then more strongly, but never really shouting. I tell you this, beloved, because the diamond of this thunderbolt is able to shatter centuries of layers of karma that must be broken up as you would break up hard substance. Earth needs a shake-up. It also needs a shakedown. Know then that we come to accelerate this planetary change on behalf of all who have spoken today and at this conference. May you see the plausibility of God dwelling in you and honor that presence by correct speech, right mindfulness, and the Eightfold Path of the Buddha and the Christ. I am Vajra Sattva. I am in the earth, and I tarry as others do, for the hour of the victory of the sons and daughters of God. And so I say to you, sons and daughters of God, claim your victory in this hour and stand upon it in the name of Vajrasattva.